Greetings from Jakarta, my dear esteemed colleagues in this international symposium on water and disasters. I hope you are all well and having a fruitful symposium today. My highest regards to His Imperial Highness Crown Prince Naruhito of Japan. Your presence truly brings special meaning for this forum. I apologize that I cannot be here in person. As you might have known, Indonesia recently was hit by two major disasters in Palu and before that in Lombok. We are in a very difficult situation where two major disasters happened in such a close time span, which required total deployment of our resources. Palu is located in central Sulawesi, 3-hour flight from Jakarta. On a Friday afternoon, the 28th September 2018, a 7.4 Richter scale earthquake struck the area, triggered by movements of the Palu-Koro Fault, a 500-kilometer fault in one of the major active fault zones that go through Indonesia. The quake was deadly that it resulted in new active faults. In the last 7 years, there are 300 new active faults in Indonesia, adding to the previously only tens in number. It also subsided the seafloor that it triggered tsunami of 2.2 up to 11.3 meters, sweeping into 500 meters inland. As if taking a final act, it also triggered soil liquefaction in at least 4 villages. This is the first time our country experienced post-earthquake soil liquefaction in such magnitude. You can imagine that in only a matter of minutes, thousands of houses, structures, along with people in them, were gone as if they were being swollen up by Mother Earth. Actually, in the 70s, our prominent geologist Professor Katili has warned us that the area of Palu is not livable due to the high risk of disturbance triggered by the fault movements. Unfortunately, this warning disappeared over time as the city and province developed and urbanized. We paid the price for defying this warning. Thousands of lives lost, hundreds of thousands displaced, and thousands of houses and structures destroyed. In short, the social, economic, and public service activities in Palu was suddenly paralyzed. The total loss due to the Palu is estimated to exceed $1.3 billion, and to rebuild it, again, we need a minimum of $690 million. Meanwhile, 1 to 2 months before, Lombok, an island just west of Bali, south of Sulawesi, was struck by 6 back-to-back major earthquakes. Hundreds of thousands of its inhabitants across 7 districts in West Nusa Tenggara province were significantly affected, and now they are just trying to recover. Like in Palu, earthquake activities are rampant in Lombok. However, enforcement of disaster-related zoning has not been optimal. Almost all of the quake epicenters were in the north of Lombok Island. Thus, North Lombok experienced the worst devastation and damages. The loss is estimated around the same as the Palu disaster, almost $1.3 billion. The cost of rebuilding is slightly higher at $814 million due to the higher density of the area. Disasters after disasters come and go. After disaster comes, it becomes apparent how much we need to improve in preparedness and disaster mitigation. We can see cities developing rapidly without regards of its actual capacity. New residential areas spring in locations that are not supposed to be livable, and new structures are built without enough regards towards resiliency. The earthquakes in Palu and Lombok provide us with a very pricey opportunity to serve as a momentum for us Indonesians to move towards betterment in dealing with our fate being in the ring of fire. I very much appreciate the efforts of the government, including our colleagues at the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, as well as the National Agency for Disaster Management, who have put their utmost resources on the field to respond and recover from this situation. A situation that in which we have to build back better. This means we should not only able to just rebuild after disasters, but we should aim to upgrade ourselves to enable building back better, to foster resiliency from disasters in a more participative way that will make us more prepared should the ill fate comes knocking. We still have a lot of homework to do, particularly relating to enforcement of mitigation plans, including city planning based on disaster zoning, improving the local government capacity in dealing with disasters, and I must say that right now, one of our biggest challenges is relocation of the residential area, especially in Palu. There is no disaster that is identical to another. The same also goes for its recovery. Thus, I humbly request to you, my fellow colleagues, in this symposium, to join us in studying together some of the main issues and challenges that we are facing. How can Palu and Lombok recover for the better? In Palu, the main consideration is the need to relocate people who live along the fault zones that have a risky type of soil which is susceptible to liquefaction. It is not easy, since the area has geographical constraints. It will entail thorough identification of livable areas and many sociological considerations to move communities to a new location. In Lombok, we may not need relocation, but the damages are so spread out. How can we quickly rebuild all affected areas? How can we make sure that the scheme of self-building adopted by the government can work well in such spread out disaster? But more importantly, how much we can learn from Palu and Lombok disasters so that all of us can mitigate disaster better in the future. I thank you for your kind attention. I wish you a successful symposium and sending all of you my warmest regards from Indonesia.